I do want to throw Matt out the window sometimes. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Big Dane podcast. Happy to have you all again today and hope you've been enjoying some of the episodes as well. So don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends, family, all that jazz. So today I really wanted to get into just learning new things, and whether that be learning new things about yourself during this time, maybe something that you're learning about your partner if you're sharing space with someone else other than yourself. Even pets, I think that's something that's getting a little interesting too. So just wanted to get right into it and just kind of share what I've been enjoying when it comes to some things that I've been learning. And I'm going to start off first with food. I already enjoy cooking and baking, and I'm finding myself to be a little bit more creative in the kitchen and really seeing, what do we have on hand and something that doesn't really involve that many ingredients, because we're getting to that point where, all right, it's been 2 weeks, we're really getting thin here, and, didn't want to quite go out yet to the store. So, one, I know it may sound a little basic, but we had made a recipe with chicken, kind of like a caprese grilled chicken recipe. So we had extra basil left over. Okay, great, right? And we tend to buy like mixed nuts or something like that. So while making pesto, I guess a more traditional way is with pine nuts. We don't have pine nuts. Like, who has that on hand, right? So I took some of the mixed nuts, and actually we've had some nuts already through baking. So I had walnuts too on hand. So I actually used walnuts, the basil. We already had Parmesan cheese because I am a cheese lover and can definitely get into more food on some other episodes and take a deeper dive on to cheese. But so I grabbed the Parmesan, and I didn't have quite enough basil, so I was trying to think like what else do we really have? And I honestly didn't think we had anything else left. And thank God, like right in the freezer, we had a little bit left of frozen spinach, so I threw that in. And just kind of experimented, and you kind of, you know, pulls through that food processor. I have a Ninja, which I absolutely love, and just, tasted it. What else do I need to add? And just kind of took it from there. So I think you'll really surprise yourself what you actually have in the kitchen, or even like things maybe that you're craving and that you want to make, then just whip it up. Like, just, you don't even have to follow a recipe. Like, I didn't even look at anything, and I just kind of made my own with it. If we didn't have that spinach, then probably would be doomed because we didn't have like any greens left. So at that point, it's like, what do you do? But luckily, that came through for us. Another thing that I wanted to share that I've been really craving and just wanted something different too were bagels. And I did come across a recipe that didn't involve yeast, because I know that's one main ingredient that you typically need to make breads. So I thought, great, I'm not gonna have this. The whole purpose was to use what we have, but this one actually had Greek yogurt. So, and we tend to buy that a lot. It's just more filling for me, and can always use it in other recipes I've seen. So it's glad to have that on hand. And we already had the everything seasoning bagel seasoning. What am I saying? Yeah, and So, and then you just top it with that. So, again, like new things that I've never even like made before. Pesto I've had made before, but bagels never made before. I feel like it's more intimidating than what we think it is. So it's just kind of, pulling that confidence through and just whipping it up. And then to get into more of like a fun, like happy hour creation, I made a Moscow Mule with ginger tea. Um, First off, I ran out of vodka, so I turned to rum. And then I ran out, or not even ran out, I didn't have any ginger beer, but we had ginger seltzer. So I was like, well, this will be good. And so I made that once, and then I'm like, I just want that like spiciness. I really enjoy ginger. I think some people will take it or leave it. So I had tea one night. My stomach wasn't feeling too good, so I made ginger tea. Um, and it's the Yogi brand. I feel like the Yogi brand tea is the key here because I've had other ginger teas and it just like wasn't as spicy. And so I'm sitting there and I have one of those aha moments, like the light bulb just goes off, almost like I'm gonna take you back to the Christmas Vacation movie. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And Chevy Chase, he's having such a difficult time to get the lights on. And then Ellen, his wife, has one of those aha moments and goes back in the garage and flips that switch. That was my moment. That was my moment. And I thought, oh my gosh, why don't I add some of that ginger tea into my Moscow Mule? Now, mind you guys, like this is not, I'm not putting hot tea into my Moscow Mule. So obviously, and of course, I would brew the tea first and then I chilled it. And then I just add a little bit of it just to get some of that flavor. So it was rum, ginger seltzer, ginger tea, and a little bit of simple syrup to put it all in perspective for you. And it really came through, and I'm not just saying that. My boyfriend had a taste, and he's like, "Wow, this tastes much better than last time." Just for that extra spiciness when you don't have ginger beer. So just a little note and a little hack for you. So, and more recently, I had pinned this a while back on my Pinterest. I'm in Pinterest so much, it's ridiculous. It's just a nice way to like wind down or like just, make the time go by and things that you see and you just pin it and I just love it. It's a good way for me to organize, recipes and just creative ideas in there. So a while back I pinned chocolate chip scones. Yeah. So I've never made scones before. Again, I feel like just the word scone, like what is that, how do I make scones? And but again, somehow the Greek yogurt pulls through people. It's the secret. It's the secret to some of these baking recipes. And I think because of all the probiotics and the cultures in there, it's trying to act like a yeast, is what I imagine. I know there's so much science involved with baking, so you can't be as creative as cooking. So, yeah, so I made those, and again, another winner, another winner. And it was easy. It was one, two, three, bam, put in the oven. Wow, what did I just say? Oven. Put it in the oven, and it was done in 20 minutes. So definitely check it out. If you just want something different for breakfast, like especially on the weekends for me, I just like to have something a little different for breakfast. Or if you're doing a virtual brunch, just bring the chocolate chip scones. Yeah. So for me, while I enjoying all the cooking and the baking, that really just like makes me in a better mood, I think. And, because I'm alone, I'm by myself, and I'm dedicating that time for me too. And I think that's still important to set aside, um, you know, when I'm totally like done with the baking. I'm like, I'm done with this for today. It's probably just maybe sitting down to watch a quick Netflix show, and suddenly you're on your eighth episode of Ozark. Or I also enjoyed like getting outside, so maybe I'll go for a quick walk just to get some of that me time and just help myself recharge, so to speak. And that's really my introvert side coming out. And we can definitely get into more introverts versus extroverts on another episode. But yeah, I've been going for walks around the neighborhood, trying to go different ways to change it up. But you know how sometimes that can be difficult because you can only go so far. But I don't know, it's been a little funny lately when I've been going on my walks by myself. And I almost feel like I'm Bruce Almighty, if everyone remembers that movie. And I'll see a cat, I'll make a right, I'll make a left, go up the hill, then I see another cat, and then I approach a dog that's outside and just like hanging on the fence, like, yo, what's up? And at one point, I was getting a little nervous because I thought this dog was gonna like hop the fence because it was a bigger dog, like, I don't know, one of those generic dogs, you know what I'm saying? But, and then on the way back, I was almost at our house, and I was like, what the heck is that? Here, it was a groundhog, people. Like, what the hell is happening? So that's been kind of funny lately. And then also, what I've been experiencing is just people who probably shouldn't be taking walks in the neighborhood. Um, like, I don't know, I was approaching someone and it was still like kind of far back, like far out. So it was hard to see a little bit like who this person was. Like maybe if I knew him, maybe if I didn't. And I couldn't even tell you how many feet because our metric system is like fucked up. So maybe it was like 50 yards. Yeah, I'm going to yards because now I'm trying to think football fields. Um, and it's like this man's like wearing a mask, and mind you, it was like a rainier day. So I'm like, who? And it's in the neighborhood. It's not like on a crowded trail somewhere. But I thought, like, why are you wearing your mask? Like, no, literally no one is around. Like, I was looking around, I'm like, it's just like myself walking outside and this like older man. And so then, I'm still kind of far away, like maybe now at like the 48-yard mark. And then I'm like, did he just like trip? Did he just like trip over the cement? Like the sidewalks can be uneven, so totally understandable, right? And so now I'm like getting like very close. Like now we're at like 10 yards away. And I'm like, this guy is limping. Like, why are you limping? So, first off, it's frightening to see, um, wearing a mask outside when you're nowhere near anyone. And then, second, to have a limp. So, you're creating these two images together in your mind now to, kind of paint the picture here. And what does it become? An apocalyptic world. Yeah. So now not only am I Bruce Almighty, but now I'm Will Smith and I am Legend. So that's what's been going on. But, again, it really helps me like clear my mind sometimes just to get out and walk. And I'll even go on a walk even without any headphones, and just kind of like enjoy the sounds around me, if that makes sense. May sound a little cheesy, but just saying, gotta embrace what your surroundings are. But of course, I do enjoy other podcasts that I listen to, just to make the time go a little bit faster, like on my walks, especially if I want to go out for like an hour. And I get back and I feel so much better. It's like I'm a new person. So if that's something you haven't been doing, which I'm sure all of you probably have, then try it out. Try it out, and I want to hear about your walks. See what you've encountered. Maybe you've been encountering something, maybe even different that you've seen, in your neighborhood. So please tell me. I'd love to hear it. And I'm trying to think, like, what other new things, like, that have been going on. I actually became a barber um, recently, so there's that. Yeah, I learned how to use clippers, and it's like I became an instant barber from the help of my friend YouTube. So, my boyfriend Matt, who has joined us with the first two episodes, his hair was getting so long. And if you've seen him in pics or, in obviously real life, he has that comb over hairstyle with the side part. So if you can picture that, and with that kind of hairstyle, you have to keep up with it. Men have to keep up with this kind of hairstyle in general if you really want to look super fab, and you got to get that cut every 3 to 4 weeks. So now, like, after I watched YouTube and I actually watched the video twice and then wrote the steps down because they're like, use number 4 clipper. Now use number 3 clipper, but close. And I'm like, what are these techniques? Like, this was like such a learning experience for me, and I was just cracking up because I couldn't even think, like, not even a million years, like, would I have thought I'd be using clippers, let alone, doing this and cutting my boyfriend's hair. Like, what the hell is happening in our world? So, but yeah, it's definitely a step-by-step process. You can certainly not, like, just go in it without, like, at least looking at like a 30-second YouTube video. Otherwise, you could be taking off all, your boyfriend's hair or your friend's hair, and they're gonna be bald. But at least hair grows back. So if you mess up, it's not like the worst. And it's not like we're really seeing any people. He probably just won't be ready and in like tip top shape for a virtual Zoom meeting for work. But hey, it happens, right? And you got to try things out and shake it up. Um, so I was just laughing about that. It was just like, really, this is really happening right now. And I've been learning more, I'd say, about Matt too. And if there's things that you've been learning more about your partner, or even like your family, if you have kids and you learn even more things about your kids, like, please tell me. I'd love to hear it and just get your take on this, especially given the time we're all in. So I've been noticing um, Matt has been making a shit ton of coffee. And I asked him, I'm like, did you drink this much coffee um, at work prior to the pandemic? And he's like, no. And he's definitely a coffee lover. I already knew that. But it definitely escalated now that we've been home. And it's just really funny to see. Like, I don't think he drinks water. Like, he'll say, oh, water is in coffee, so it's fine, right? I'm like, this is why you're dehydrated. But it probably didn't help that I encouraged him to use the coffee pot instead of the French press. Because I thought, we have a coffee pot and we don't even use it because, our schedule before, it was like Matt would either just get it at work, or sometimes he may stop by Starbucks to get his cold brew. And um, and he would always get yeah, a cold brew. So he doesn't drink hot coffee, which just blows my mind, especially like during the winter, but that's besides the fact. So, and then I would get up and I would use a French press because I kind of like the taste a little bit better than regular, like coming through the pot. And we don't have a Keurig, so and that was pretty quick for me, and I'd fill it up right before I got on the train, so it was fantastic. And so now Matt's using, I said, why don't you use the coffee pot? Because you can make so much more even than the French press. Mind you, we were getting into an issue where he would use the French press And then maybe he'd have like just a little bit left and, didn't pour it into another cup or whatever, didn't put it in the fridge, because he likes his chilled coffee. Even though it's not really like a cold brew, like a true cold brew, but you get the gist here. And so we were getting into an issue where, it would just be left out. And it's like, now I want to come down and make coffee, right? I got to start my morning. I need that coffee too. So, so I suggested to, make the big bulk in the coffee pot. And so he's been using it ever since. But this is probably also why his coffee intake has gone through the roof. But now we don't have an issue with the French press, and I can just use it when I want, and he uses the coffee pot when he wants. So it's a win-win. It's definitely, it was a breakthrough for us. So that's been really awesome. And oddly enough, and somehow, honestly, I don't know how, but I'm just gonna say it, but I think we got a little bit closer than in the pandemic, which kind of seems odd and may even like hearing this may seem odd because I know there's couples out there that want to stab each other in the arm right now. Don't get me wrong. I do want to throw Matt out the window sometimes. But you got to bring it back to reality. You got to, think about what's happening right now. It's not just affecting me, it's not just affecting Matt, it's affecting both of us. And not even just us, but the entire world. So, I think we both just came to that realization and like, we have to be nice to each other. Of course, like you get into like your little like arguments, whatever, sure, but it's like you got to stick together. You got to be nice to each other. You got to help each other out. And, you know, because at the end of the day, you can't escape. And we've been grilling a lot. Like we're kind of like we're like tag teaming. Like, all right, you do the grill, I do the inside, or you do the inside and making the side dish while I do the grill. And so just even little things like that like has really helped. I don't know. It's been like really freaking weird, but it's been kind of nice too. So, and something that I may have touched on a little bit, and maybe not, but I have a cat and Matt has a cat. And when we first moved in September, I'm just gonna take a little sip here. Um, the cats, it was an adjustment. Really didn't get along, and cats let it like they're not dogs, and so they can't just be thrown in the same room like instantaneously. Like you have to like slowly introduce them, and like we tried to do that, and I don't know, my my cat would just like be the gatekeeper like on the steps and just like have Lydia just like be at the top of the steps, Matt's cat. And Lydia would be so scared to come down because my cat Moo, she was just sitting on the steps, like minding her own business. But at the same time, like, I think also Moo wanted to just play with her. But then other times, like, they kind of like torment each other and they'll like do a little swat at each other. But, nothing vicious where, they're like biting each other or anything like that. It's like all like friendly. But so since we've been home, like it's been interesting because I think Lydia gets more comfort that, Matt's here and like, owner, like you're here, and you're here all the time versus like, all right, we'll see you like at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. And so it's interesting to see with the two of our cats, and they've kind of been sharing spaces together. Like earlier, when I was just kind of doing my research on the podcast, and the both of them were sitting on the couch, like not like exactly next to each other, but close enough to where like if you put a timestamp on that and then looked back in September, you would have found Lydia upstairs under the bed, and Moo was just hanging out down here. So um, it's kind of nice to see that, and I'm glad that Lydia's getting a little bit more comfortable. So I'm sure even for dogs, I bet they're probably like confused, like, why is my human owner like always home? And because it's an adjustment for everyone. So, and it's just kind of interesting to see all that come into play. So, I'd love to hear, if you have any pets, if they're acting differently or like, or even like more like in a positive way. And even in like funny ways, like I'd love to hear it, and also challenge you to learn something new, share it with me, and I just want to hear what you're doing. So try it out, and it doesn't have to be something extensive. Like, it could be literally the smallest thing ever. But I think just the fact to try something different or something you're experiencing and learning during all of this. So thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you guys. And don't forget to subscribe and leave reviews, and we'll see you next time.